Hello everyone, I'm Terry Hoop, the Keto Mama from KetoMamas.com, and today I am in a beautiful redwood forest in Northern California. And I'm thinking about this analogy of the redwood trees and how magnificent and resilient these trees are, but their strength comes from each other because their root system is quite shallow, but it intertwines with each other and provides the strength to hold up these massive trees. And I thought about my Keto Mamas Facebook group and how we're there to support one another on our health journey. I love this beautiful area because of the energy of the earth that I feel here, and it made me think about the importance of a holistic approach to your health, that we can't just isolate things even on a physical level, but we need to consider our mental health, our spiritual health, and our emotional health. And emotionally, I've come across a study that is quite interesting about emotional health, and they looked at the number of adverse childhood events that happen and how many of those determines whether or not you have a disease later in life. So you're more likely to have disease with the more adverse effects that you had in childhood. Well, some of these things would be like divorce or neglect or emotional, physical, mental, or sexual abuse, the death of a parent or a sibling. All of these things can cause trauma, and there's much more of these kinds of things. I just don't know all of them, but they just found a direct correlation between the number of these emotional events in someone's life and the likelihood that they will have a disease later on in adulthood. And they particularly mentioned autoimmune disease, which I found interesting because women have autoimmune disease at a much higher rate than men. So there may be a connection there with emotions that we don't even realize, and sometimes we deny ourselves self-care because of these events that have happened in our lives, and we don't even realize that it's affecting us later on. But there's different kinds of trauma. I said there's ones that everyone recognizes horrible, and I think of those as capital T trauma, and then there's these little t traumas, and something like that might be being left at school for 3 hours after your mom was supposed to pick you up, and maybe that caused a stress reaction in your body. But when we have stress in our lives, it releases a hormone called cortisol, and it affects everything physically for an adverse effect. So our gut flora is affected, we gain weight from cortisol, so we're changing physically. And it's interesting because some people say, I didn't have any adverse effects in my childhood. I had a great childhood, but I'm sick. So what's going on here? Well, one thing that maybe you're not considering that they've also found a link is that generationally trauma can be passed down. So if your parents or your grandparents went through a trauma, maybe war or starvation or famine, these kinds of things actually change the DNA and are passed down to the children. So you may have some things going on there generationally as well. And stress obviously continues to happen, not just in childhood, but as adults. And when we're under stress, it puts us in a sympathetic nervous system state, or you may recognize that fight or flight mode that we get into. And we have to have some of that kind of stress because it helps us to be motivated to get things done. But we have to recognize the importance also of going into that parasympathetic nervous system state, which is called the rest and digest state. And these things that help us get into this state is like being in this beautiful forest, for instance, breathing and meditating, being grateful and praying. That's why they say if you breathe and you think of things you're grateful for, or you pray before you eat, it helps you get into that state where your body can relax, know that it's safe, and it will actually have the ability to digest the food and take in the nutrients from the food. We were just walking down the street the other day, and I saw a man standing outside of a building just eating as he's standing there. And I said, go sit down and relax, enjoy your food. And we do it without even thinking about it, because we're not thinking about the food. We're just thinking we gotta go, 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 and just get the food in there and go. But it's really important to just sit down, breathe, be grateful, and enjoy that food so that we can digest. So what do we do if we have stress and trauma? Maybe this childhood trauma that's affecting our health today, what do we do about it? It's important to find some healing that helps you. And there's lots of different alternative healing modalities out there that specifically work with emotional healing. There's something called EFT, there's cranial sacral, just even counseling, which is a more traditional approach. But try different things and find what works for you, what brings you healing and peace and supports you in your health journey to find the answers that maybe are keeping you stuck in progressing in your health. And I just want to say, please go to my website, ketomamas.com, and join our private Facebook group. You will get lots of support there and information and recipes and help in your healing journey, which when we heal, we will lose weight, and it all works together. So have a great day, everyone. We'll see you later.